Well, Ross, thanks for joining us. What was your verdict on that performance?
For me, too acceptant for us. We started the game flat in the first half and then created one or two opportunities sort of out of sticking to what we'd spoken about as to how we were going to influence the game. But I think the simple analysis of it, Dave, is we haven't given ourselves enough of a platform to work our way into the game. So we talk about how we're going to create chances, we talk about how we're going to get control on a game, how we're going to try and dominate the opposition, how we can hurt the opposition, but it's all irrelevant if we don't impose ourselves on the game of football. We have to compete, we have to win things, we have to be strong, we have to make good decisions. We just, for me today, look too acceptant on too many occasions of getting nudged off the ball, not willing to do that extra yard, not enough focus on, like I said, really imposing yourselves on the game in terms of what you do without the ball. And they're the bare minimums in any game of football, but certainly at this level we have to go out and we have to compete every week, and that's not been good enough today.
Morecambe won in midweek, Stevenage won this afternoon. How worried are you when you look at the league table now?
Of course it's a concern, and we've expressed that to the lads in there that do we feel as though we've got some sort of divine right to turn up and just win a game of football every week? Well, we need to start understanding that that's not going to be the case. Teams like Port Vale today are going to have a go at you. They're going to be tough to beat. You've got to compete and give yourself an opportunity to build your way into games. So yes, it concerns me. Of course it does. You know, the position that we've found ourselves in is not good enough, and we need to. Don't like the phrase go back to basics, but we need to find our way into games of football, and there's too many occasions this year where the first half's a nothing game, we get a bit overrun, and then we have a right go at someone in the second half. Well, we've waited for them to score today, and then we've decided to come out and have a bit of a charge around and try and impose ourselves on the game. Well, every now and again you're going to pull a rabbit out of the hat, and every now and again you're going to get a fortunate opportunity to get back into a game. You can't bank on that every week. We need to have more about us.
At what point do you think that maybe there needs to be a change in terms of formation and Liangol not being quite as isolated as sometimes he appears?
Yeah, potentially, and obviously without giving out too many sort of secrets of what we're thinking for Tuesday night, it's something that I've got to analyse now. We do. The problem we have, Dave, is we make Liangol isolated in the way that we impose ourselves on the game in the early stages. There's too many times today where we get the ball into our areas of the pitch where we feel as though we can, get our players up and around Lee, get the ball into areas where we can get Lee on the ball or other people around him in order to try and get some territory on the pitch, if you like, and we failed to do it. It makes me really angry to understand that we talk about certain areas of the pitch that we need to put the ball in order to get Lee on the ball, certain areas of the pitch that we need to play certain passes to get Josh Wright, who got around him once or twice in the first half and gets himself an opportunity, in order to get George Marsh running further up the pitch, in order to get Lee, Connor and Jordan Maguire-Drew into areas where we can create chances and not leave Lee quite so isolated. But if we don't impose ourselves on the game first and foremost, we're never ever going to get anywhere near him anyway. So certainly the answer to your question is the formation will need to be addressed. We'll need to look at exactly what we can do in terms of adjusting that to give us more of a chance. But at the same time, we have to stick to it. We have to go about our game plan and impose ourselves first and foremost on games without the ball. And that's the bit that really disappoints me today, is that competing, winning second balls, getting around tackles and making contact with people and being aggressive and doing the League Two things, it wasn't good enough today.
Fear of deja vu, but no doubt you'll be disappointed with the manner in which that goal was conceded, because you looked as if you'd initially cleared the corner. Yeah,
make a massive focus on marking in the box, staying with people. People want to put crosses in. We know this team today are going to put balls on top of you because of the personnel, although Pope didn't start the game, but we felt that they were going to put crosses in and try to make their life uncomfortable. That, again, respecting the league and the level that we're at, that League Two teams put crosses in the box, League Two teams get set pieces and it comes in and puts you under pressure. Stay with your men, mark your men, and you give yourself a little bit more chance of defending things.
There weren't many positives, but Sam Sargent was one of those. There's real competition for that number one place.
Yeah, obviously delighted today that Lawrence Vigouroux's international clearance came through to make him eligible. He's missed all of this week with an illness, and one of his children was unwell as well. But it was great to have him around the group, and obviously now he can start pushing Sarge. But I think that has done is Sarge's performances have been strong. We've got to give the kid a chance. He's come into the team and he's done really well. But there's too many occasions where he's on the losing team or he's having to keep us in games, which is obviously his job. But at the same time, it'd be nice to take a little bit of pressure off of him.
What does Cisse bring to the team?
Physique. I thought he showed real composure on the ball when he came on. Obviously, he hasn't played a huge amount of football, but I think that's the players that you get in January. You're not going to get someone who's flying and been in the team every week unless you go out and spend a fortune on them. So he brings a bit of experience in that position. I think what it does is it then creates competition in other areas of the pitch in terms of players being able to play elsewhere. So now we don't have to look upon Josh Wright necessarily as being that deep midfield player when Hector's not playing. Cisse will be in there and we'll give him and Hector will have that competition for places. But then what that does is has a knock-on effect in terms of Wrighty, Craig Clay, George Marsh, James Dayton, those people that play in those midfield roles. More competition for places in there. So I was pleased with the way he come on today, and obviously his composure on the ball. But again, another player that sort of didn't really have much of an opportunity to impose himself on the game.
Northampton have hit form. They're in town on Tuesday. Will there be new arrivals before their visit?
I hope so. It's something that sort of broken record a little bit, Dave, but something that there's things that we're working on. There's players that we've got in mind. We've hit a few snags this week in terms of being able to bring certain players in because their clubs are maybe hanging on to them a little bit more, and that domino effect that a club bringing a player in doesn't quite allow us to bring the player in that we want. So really keen to do that, really keen to add more competition for places in certain areas of the pitch. So if we can get something done by Tuesday, I'll be delighted. But obviously anything after that, we'll obviously then have a focus of trying to get them in before next weekend.
Will Joe Widdowson be available Tuesday?
Joe's travelled with us today in order to give him some more extensive work today, and we feel as though at times we get Joe out on the pitch and he trains and then he suffers a little bit of a niggle, a little bit of a setback that means that we can't push him closer to the team. I think James Brophy has done well at fullback, but at the same time he's not a fullback. Juddy gets booked today, and we obviously want to make that change in order to try and chase the game, but we haven't got an actual fullback to bring on in those positions, so it makes it difficult. But we need, we'd like to get Joe back sooner rather than later.
There were appeals for a penalty, particularly in stoppage time.
Yeah, Matty was convinced he was pulled back. Not avoiding the question, but I couldn't see from there. I think you'd know that if I thought it was a penalty, I'd have made it known. So through the bodies, I didn't see it, but Matty's adamant that it was.
Over 300 travelling fans.
Yeah, obviously disappointed for them. It's great numbers to be travelling to a place like this. For us today, they stayed with us. Obviously disappointed at the end, and I would totally expect and understand people to be disappointed. But they stuck with the boys during the game, and like I said, every right to voice their disappointment at the final whistle. So I totally understand that and accept that. And it's about now. All of us, me included, I'm not pointing the finger at the lads by any stretch of the imagination. I'm in this with them. We're disappointed that we're not picking up the points that we need, and we need to make sure that we're back at it again from the minute we leave here tonight to make sure that we start to put in performances starting with Northampton.